Hello everyone, got a new beer today. This is, it's actually sort of rare. This is Saison Du Buff. This beer is actually a collaboration between three breweries, Dogfish Head in Delaware, Victory, which is in Downingtown, PA, and Stone Brewing from California. This beer was brewed only once, well actually 3 times, because each of those 3 breweries took the recipe and brewed it at their own facility. Each one was brewed, it was made last year. This particular bottle came from Dogfish Head, which makes sense, it's the closest one to my area. According to their site, it was brewed in August of 2010, so this is a few months old. Which is pretty good. It's a Saison, or otherwise known as a farmhouse ale. It's not a tremendously popular style, but it's increased in popularity over the past few years. Perhaps you've heard of Saison Du Buff, which is a Belgian farmhouse ale. It's one of the more popular brands. I particularly don't care for it, actually, though I have had many Saisons that I do like. There's some very good ones out there. This one I have not tried yet, but all 3 of these breweries, Dogfish Head, Victory, and Stone, are extremely good. They very rarely disappoint, so I can only assume that a collaboration between them would be excellent. And actually, in researching this a little bit, the Buff actually stands for an organization that, I guess an informal organization that the heads of those 3 breweries came up with, and the BUFF stands for Brewers United for Freedom of Flavor. So that's pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and open this and check it out. As this is from Dogfish Head, I have my Dogfish Head pint glass appropriately prepared. As you can see, I poured it a little bit fast, but even being careful, this has a lot of action going on there. Almost the whole glass was his head. So I'll just sit by and wait for that a little bit to clear up. This is 6.8% alcohol by volume. It says it's ale brewed with parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Just a little bit about farmhouse ales, if you don't know. I think they were traditionally called that because they were brewed by farmers in the winter and then aged to be consumed in the summertime. As this is a very spicy beer, I mean, it has all those herbs in it, I expect some sediment in the bottle, and I can see some, just barely. You'll notice that with a lot of craft brews and microbrews, and I've heard a lot of home brewers say that too when they make their beer. You get a good layer of sediment on the bottom from yeast or from whatever you might have added to the brew. This is really, I mean, look at this. I still got about half a glass of head in there, and it's not going anywhere. But what was I saying? Well, anyway, let's take a look. I mean, it's golden, a little bit cloudy. Of course, it has a very large, almost non-receding head on it. Has a bit of a citrus nose to it. A lot of Saisons will have sort of a citrus flavor. I'm expecting a lot of earthiness to it. I was mentioned the Saison Du Buff. I don't know, I mean, a lot of people like that. To me, it's a little too extreme in the sense that it's a bit too earthy. maybe I just had a bad bottle, but it tasted, when when I've had it, it tastes pretty much like hay and horse crap. Supposedly it ages pretty good, but I don't know if I want to have something like that aged. It's very reputable, so there's a very large fan base out there, but I personally do not care for Saison Du Buff. Oh yeah, I remember what I was talking about before, the sediment in the bottom. I think I mentioned this before with another beer. Some people like to pour out the whole bottle. They like the sediment, it doesn't bother them. Other people don't, and it's, there's nothing wrong with leaving a little bit of beer in the bottle to avoid the sediment coming out and the spent yeast coming out into your glass. Some people like that, some people don't. I personally don't really have a preference. It doesn't really bother me. This beer is just tremendously active. I'm going to go ahead and try to drink this with some of the foam on top, but it's very bubbly, so got some carbonation going on. I can smell a little bit of the spiciness. I guess mostly the rosemary coming out, along with the citrus tones. I'm going to go ahead and try this. Excuse me if I get some of the foam on my face here, but let's go for it. Wow, that's definitely got some powerful flavor to it. It's definitely earthy, very grassy. I'm picking up a lot of the citrus. Despite all the herbs and spices in there, it doesn't come off too strong with spiciness. Again, the rosemary, I think, kind of takes over the taste a little bit, but it's even that is not too overbearing. It's very smooth, a little bit of sweetness to it. It's still pretty, it's almost opaque. I was expecting it to be a little more clear, but I was wrong. But yeah, this is definitely very good. I'm gonna see if I can see a little bit of what's in here, because the bottle is very dark, but I definitely see some things floating around in there. Again, I'm guessing it's aside from the yeast, it's probably residue from all the spices in there. Again, there's parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme. But yeah, this is really tremendous. Again, all three of those breweries, I have nothing bad to say about them, really, except maybe that Stone's a little bit too far away from me, but they're pretty popular. See a lot of their beers fairly often in beer distributors and at good beer bars, but yeah, this is very good. I'm trying to pick apart the citrus flavors. I guess it's kind of lemony, orangey, maybe a tad of grapefruit in there. Of course, they don't actually add fruit to these beers. Those are just the notes that you will notice, just some of the flavors that get picked up in the beer. The head is receded a lot, as you can see, but it's still very thick and substantial there. This is definitely a good beer. I don't know how much is left. Like I said, it was only brewed once, 3 separate times at each brewery. I think the first one was done at Stone. Yeah, Stone was done in April of 2010, Victory in July of 2010, and then Dogfish Head in August of 2010. So probably most of these batches have been consumed. You might be able to find a bottle somewhere. I think I picked this one up a couple months ago. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. It's very good. Very good. Very smooth mouthfeel. It's got a lot of flavor to it, but it's still pretty light, and it's definitely very drinkable. But again, since it's not very accessible, I don't think drinkability really comes into play too much in this case. But it is definitely very good, and I definitely recommend it. So again, that is Saison Du Buff, a product of Dogfish Head, Delaware, Stone Brewing from California, and Victory Brewing Company from nearby Downingtown, PA. So until next time, I will say cheers, and I am going to finish this and enjoy it. Thanks.